There are many things to consider when encountering someone who is dying, or perhaps maybe is acutely ill and worried about dying. And I think there's multiple approaches to any situation, and those are also accentuated. Those differences are accentuated by the differences in people. So depending on yourself and how you present yourself in your work, and the person that you're going to be serving, the situation or the circumstances around that, the moment in time, that's happening around those circumstances. There's a lot of things to consider. And I think the best place to start is really with yourself. And I think the key to any service is to be present, as probably you all know well, and to really enter into any space with someone else who's dying or very sick in a way that you're very much aware of your own self and what you're bringing to the space. And if you can imagine or recognize that the space you're entering is an alive space, and that as you enter into it, you are becoming part of that experience in the room with the person. And so it's very important to raise your attention and your awareness and your presence, particularly around dying people who, in my opinion, are highly sensitive to the space and the situation around them. Mm-hmm. And so as you come into that space, regardless of what you're going to do there, what your agenda is, it's that initial kind of entering in, sitting down, being present, perhaps being quiet for a bit, and just listening for what's happening before engaging in anything, almost as you would for any kind of reading or prayer or spiritual ritual that you were doing with another person or just for yourself, but sort of laying that groundwork so that you show up in a very clean way is what I would say. And once you're at that place, you're centered, you're present, you're seated, you've maybe been quiet for a little bit, you've taken in the information about what's happening. Maybe you're physically in the room, maybe you're somewhere else and you're just wanting to connect with the person and you're imagining where they are. I think at that point is when, the next important thing is to bring to the table the information that you've come to share without your personal opinions or desires to change the situation or make the situation better. I mean, we all have those. I mean, we want people to be comfortable. We want people to be cared for, and that's important. But I think when you're delivering information in a spiritual way through a reading or some other type of practice, the important piece to hold is to, keeping yourself out of it, sort of. Your presence is there in a caring way, and the care and concern isn't removed, but any opinions you have about what should or shouldn't be happening probably need to kind of go on the shelf for a little bit. I mean, maybe there are things you need to address realistically, but in that moment of really meeting that encounter with a reading, it's important to just set those things aside and just be present with the information you're going to transfer, that you're going to provide. Almost like any guide would be. So I have liked to consider myself a guide or a partner in that process, where I'm offering information, but I'm not telling people what to do. I'm not putting stuff there that maybe they don't feel like they need or want. I'm really walking with them. I'm listening. I'm trying to pick up cues and clues about what their needs are, and then deliver the information that I think is most useful to them based on that. And that just evolves as you go. And so perhaps if you're doing a reading, yes, there's a particular order and a structure to a reading. And those things are important. But I think they also have to be kind of gently woven into the circumstances of the person, and to not have the form of the reading take over the needs, but kind of, support the form of the reading. If you can create a way to support the environment with it, I think is important. And so it really is a dance with the person and the space in a way. And you may find that other people are coming and going in the space. Maybe this person's in a hospital, maybe they're in a home with family, and other people are coming and going, and you are there present to all of that. But really your contact and your attention is with the person who's ill and potentially dying. And the coming and going isn't really anything at all. It's there, it's fine, but the attention and the presence is really on that contact that you make, that you learn to make in a reading remotely, and then also at a bedside, and just holding the contact and allowing all the other stuff to happen that needs to happen. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we think, we have to control the whole environment to make it work. And I don't necessarily think that's true. I think when you have contact and when you can be present yourself and stay in that space yourself, you don't really need to worry about controlling every piece of the environmental situation. So that's how I imagine getting started, and some of the things that you'd want to consider when entering into that kind of experience.